Forest along the German-Belgian border. The Americans would soon christen the battle the Meat Grinder, with good reason. Thousands would die in the tangled woods, killed by an implacable and capable enemy fighting on his own soil. What had begun in September 1944 with optimism for an early end to the war was by October an attritional struggle in the dark forest, and the Americans were losing. The Allies had received their first intimation that breaking through the Siegfried Line into Germany was not going to be a walkover in September to October 1944 at the ancient city of Aachen. Everyone assumed that the shattered German army that had lost the Battle of Normandy in the summer and had retreated back to Germany would remain shattered and easy meat for the advancing US, British, Canadian and French armies. But events at Aachen had proved them wrong. Here, a cut-off German force of 5,000 men had fought tenaciously and fanatically against American forces, for the first time on German soil. The fight had destroyed the city and cost the Americans 5,000 casualties. The next objective for the US First Army was the Ruhr River dams behind Aachen. If the Germans released the millions of gallons of water held in the dam reservoirs, the flooding would prevent any US advance in the region for weeks. With winter also fast approaching, the First Army's units were ordered forward. But to get at the dams meant advancing through the Hürtgen Forest, a 54-square-mile area of densely wooded hills, 3 miles east of the Belgian-German border. The Germans were surprised and delighted that the Americans decided to advance through the Hürtgen Forest. Field Marshal Walter Model, commander of German Army Group B, knew that his forces could hold the forest against all comers. At a stroke, the Americans' massive advantages in numbers, vehicles and air power would be severely diminished in the deep dark forest. The Germans dubbed the Battle of the Hürtgen Forest the Miracle in the West. The Germans were well prepared, with dug-in and concealed infantry, mortars and artillery units. Though the Americans outnumbered the Germans by 5 to 1 initially, weather and terrain narrowed the odds in favor of the German defenders. As experienced soldiers became casualties, the Americans fed more and more green replacements into the fighting, with terrible results. The Hürtgen Forest fell within 2 different corps areas of the US First Army, 5th Corps and 7th Corps. 14 US divisions would be involved in the fighting at different times. Initially, the forest was defended by 2 German infantry divisions, under strength at 5,000 men with 1,000 in reserve. The German commander, Generalleutnant Hans Schmidt, was progressively reinforced as the battle developed. In mid-September 1944, as fighting at Aachen continued, US divisions probed the edge of the forest. The initial attacks were pushed back. Some villages were captured, but US forces couldn't drive into the forest proper as German defences were simply too strong. On the 5th of October, the US 39th and 60th Infantry Regiments, the 9th Infantry Division, attacked towards the town of Schmidt. They cut the Monschau to Düren road but suffered heavy casualties. The 60th 2nd Battalion lost 2/3 of its men in one day. The 39th was also halted under enfilade fire and tree-burst artillery strikes. By the 16th of October, the Americans had advanced only 3,000 yards into the forest, but lost 4,500 men. The 9th Infantry Division was relieved by the 28th on the 16th of October, and the advance continued. They attacked on the 2nd of November. The 28th Division's 109th Infantry Regiment, trying to capture the woods north of Germeter, ended up pinned down in a minefield 300 yards beyond their start line. They eventually managed to advance 1 mile in 2 bloody days. The 110th Infantry Regiment was assigned the task of clearing the woods next to the Kaul River and capturing Simonskaul, a main supply route for the advance of the town of Schmidt. They also endured heavy casualties. The 112th Infantry, attacking from Germeter, captured Vossenack and a nearby ridge, but was then halted. On the 3rd of November, a battalion of the 112th captured Schmidt, cutting the German supply route to Monschau. The next day, the Germans counterattacked, led by tanks of the 116th Panzer Division, and recaptured Schmidt. The battalion of the 112th Infantry in Schmidt fell to pieces, many being taken prisoner. In order to try and turn the tide, the 707th Tank Battalion moved forward a company of 8 M4 Shermans across the Cowell Trail to support the 112th Infantry. 5 of them were knocked out. The 116th Panzer Division attacked again, but this time the Americans knocked out 5 Panzer IVs and halted them. Vossenack was also counterattacked by the Germans, and they recaptured part of the town. On the 8th of November, the Americans withdrew from Schmidt and the Cowell Trail. Phase 1 of the battle had ended with a German victory. Phase 2, codenamed Operation Queen, launched an Allied thrust to the Ruhr River. The US 4th Infantry Division was to clear the northern half of the Hürtgen Forest between Schevenhütte and Hürtgen, capture the town of Hürtgen, and advance to the Ruhr south of Düren so they could then capture the dams. Hürtgen was strongly held by 6,500 Germans and 150 artillery guns. On the 16th of November, Operation Queen launched. The 4th Division's 2 infantry regiments, the 8th and the 22nd, advanced parallel to each other. The 8th Infantry ran into heavy resistance at Rotter Wehr Creek. The 22nd Infantry was beaten back. 3 days of fighting cost the 2 regiments 300 casualties. Engineers started blasting trails to get tanks into the forest. German reinforcements also arrived. On the 21st of November, 5th Corps had a go. Its 8th Infantry Division attacked towards Hürtgen. The 121st Infantry Regiment made daily advances of less than 600 yards under heavy German fire. They took the town of Hürtgen on the 29th of November and battled 1 mile north to Kleinau. At Wangenwehr-Merode, 2 US companies took the village on the forest's northeastern edge, but the Germans threw them out. The 1st Infantry Division lost 300 plus killed. On the 14th of November, the 2nd Ranger Battalion relieved the 112th Infantry. The 6th of December, the Rangers moved to Bergstein and then assaulted Hill 400. The hill, so named because it was 400 meters or 1,315 feet high, was located a kilometer east of the village of Bergstein. It formed part of the Siegfried Line defences and had a watchtower atop it. The fighting was extremely fierce, but the Rangers took its bunkers at heavy cost against dug-in Germans. The Rangers fended off 5 German counterattacks, including by paratroopers, and at one time were down to only 25 men still standing on the summit. On the last day of the battle, the Germans retook Hill 400 and would hold it until February 1945. The Battle of the Hürtgen Forest ended with a decisive German victory. The Americans suffered 33,000 battle casualties, plus another 9,000 non-combat losses. German casualties were around 28,000, including prisoners of war. As the Hürtgen slaughter settled into stalemate, the Germans prepared to unleash a great offensive in the west through another great forest, the Ardennes. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe and share and help support my channel at PayPal and Patreon. Details in the description box below.